Hello, Bucs fans. Welcome back to Real Bucs Talk. In today's video, we're going to continue our position previews, and that is with the outside linebacker position, which features a new starting group with YaYa Diaby leading the charge there, as he is supposed to be the main guy this season. Bucks fans and the coaching staff really believe in him. He's entering his second year, coming off a 7.5 sack season. And we talked about him this week in one of our earlier videos. Can he take that next step? Can he become a premier pass rusher? Can he get double digit sacks? So far this offseason, he's had a really good training camp. He's played very well. All the reports were saying he was probably the best defensive player on the field, which is, things you want to hear, things you want to see from your second, year player going into this season. And you're hoping he can take that jump, right? And really progress his game. But the Buccaneers were fortunate because he was in the news this week. As I bring this up here, just showing he was injured in practice. I believe this was Thursday morning or maybe Wednesday morning, one of the two. So a few days ago, he suffered a high ankle sprain, and obviously it looked way more serious than we thought initially. We thought, oh man, just don't let it be the Achilles. We've already seen that with Shaq Barrett and what that caused, and now Shaq Barrett is retiring from football. But YaYa, just so much promise with him, so much potential, and thankfully, the Buccaneers avoided a serious injury. He avoided a serious injury for himself. Uh, Even though high ankle sprains are no joke, it's nothing to overlook. It's a 4 to 6 week injury, as you see here reported by Ian Rappaport. Most likely he's not going to play in the preseason. Try to get ready for week one. That's going to be the big thing here for YaYa, and see, and hopefully he can continue where he left off, because he was really playing well and looking like a force. But let's move on to the other players at this position. We can talk about JTS. JTS is another one that entering a contract year, so it's a big season for him. It remains to be seen if the Buccaneers are going to contemplate bringing him back next offseason and bring him back to this team. But he has so much potential as well. And I think he's shown it in spurts. Over the last couple of seasons, he's had 4 sacks. It's again 4 sacks after that. And then last year he finished with 5 sacks. So, the sack numbers haven't been what I think a lot of Bucs fans expected, because again, he was a first round pick, granted, at the end of the first round, also coming off of COVID season where he didn't play football. So there was a lot going on in the background for Joe Tryon. Comes into a situation where he's playing behind JPP and Shaq Barrett. And I think he's really developed into a very solid football player, really sets the edge well, does good in the run game, can drop back and cover. Just offers so many different things versatility wise, and then you can rush him from anywhere along the defensive line. I think that really makes him an X factor of type of player that can be kind of a wild card, for your defense. So I know Todd Bowles really respects what Joe Tryon does for his scheme. And now it's just about, can he take that next step that we've been waiting to see, finishing more plays in the backfield, getting more sacks, causing more turnovers. That's the type of things we want to see from this group overall. And look at, I'll go to the next veteran in the room. Anthony Nelson is another guy that has been pretty consistent. You know what you get for him. He's been kind of in the similar production range, 4 to 6 sacks per season. Very good, steady player, consistent, does well in the run game, always in the right position. So you respect him. And so far in camp, he's done very well, in addition to JTS, and also is in a contract year. So it will be cool to see what he can bring this season, if he can elevate his game as well. And then after that, you get into more youth at the position. It really starts with Chris Braswell, the Buccaneers' second round pick of this year's draft. And he's another guy that plays with power, very smart, intelligent football player, does a good job in the run game, and just understands how to be in that right spot, be in the right position. And I think that's going to be important to see how far along he comes and if he can be a guy that they can depend on early on in the season. And so far, really good reviews from him. Very nasty, violent hands. Can has some bend to his game. Coming off an 8.5 sack season at Alabama, so it'll be intriguing to see what he can bring if he can, be another YaYa Diaby type that kind of comes on, mid-season, and really showcases out. So it wouldn't surprise me if Chris Braswell and YaYa Diaby are your starting defensive ends at some point this season. But we'll just have to see what happens. But Braswell is another guy. You see him on the screen here again. Good size, has a lot of potential, a lot of upside to his game. So that is always great to see. Really like him. And before I get to Marquise Watts, because I've talked a bunch about him this offseason, I want to talk about Jose Ramirez. Jose Ramirez is the Buccaneers' sixth-round pick from last year. Didn't get to play, kind of redshirted this season, got hurt early on in training camp last year. Now comes back, is in way better shape than he was to start last season, and really has gotten good reviews, especially from Jason Light. Todd Bowles have talked about him. So he's another guy that I think has really good tools, good things to work with as far as pass rush goes. Now it's just about kind of in similar boat of Marquise Watts. Can they evolve their game to become a more complete player versus the run and the pass? And that is something that we'll have to see during these preseason games. But I'm really intrigued by Jose Ramirez. I think he's got a lot of upside as well. And then lastly, Marquise Watts, talked about him a bunch on this channel, but I really like his game, just his quickness, his ability to win with pass rush, win in different variety of ways. He can rush from the inside, outside. And he's another one that has put on weight. He's gotten stronger, more physical, and hopefully he can become, a more complete player in this defense, understanding it better now, knowing how to, play back in coverage and do all those different types of things. So overall, this group as a whole, I think is very exciting. There's a lot that I think they have to prove out there. So it's definitely still a position of concern because you don't have a ton of production or a ton of, guys that can win in certain situations. And I think that is what we have to find out and see if they can. See if they can win those one-on-one matchups consistently. If YaYa Diaby, JTS, or Chris Braswell or Marquise Watts, one of these guys have to take the reins and really run with it and hopefully become, that top pass rusher for this team. And at the very least, they have a very good interior to complement their game. We talked about it with Kalijah Cansey and Vita Vea. So they're going to get opportunities to win their matchups. It's just, can they do it enough where the Buccaneers don't have to blitz as much? That remains the big question for this position. And hope you guys enjoyed this position preview. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the outside linebackers come to play in the 24 season for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit that like button. Comment down below your thoughts of this group. What are you expecting for this season? And with that said, until the next one.